Hey everybody, Mara Hoover here. Welcome to this week's episode of The Mara Show. And I am the founder of FemPower You and Financial Power You. And on The Mara Show, we bring you experts in the area of personal development, business, and relationships. I am so excited today. I have an incredible guest named Dr. Ann Jenkins Austin. She is my personal chiropractor, network chiropractor, and what I call my miracle working woman. We are going to have a really exciting conversation about how we relate to our bodies today. And first of all, I wanted to read her bio just so you know a little bit more about her, and we will jump into the interview. Dr. Ann Jenkins Austin is an inspiring and passionate doctor of chiropractic, wellness educator, singer, songwriter, and mother of one amazing son, Joseph. Dr. Ann's passion in life is assisting people in transforming their lives through advanced health and wellness strategies available through network spinal analysis and somo-respiratory integration care. Dr. Ann, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mara. It's so great to be here today.
I am so excited to have you and really excited for this conversation because I've been working with you over the last, I think it's been 10 months or so since September, and it has been absolutely life-changing for me in how I feel, how I relate to my body, the awareness that I have, and I know that that's the conversation we wanted to have today.
Definitely.
So can you tell me a little bit more about, what we were talking about is you wanted to kind of discuss relationship with our bodies. So let's just jump right into that, and maybe throughout the interview you can bring in a little bit about your personal experience and why you even chose this path. And how you're really helping people. So let's start with the relationship with our bodies, and what in the world does that mean anyways?
Yeah, our relationship with our body is something everyone knows that we should have a great one, but some of us don't, or some of us think, oh gosh, it would be better if I had a better relationship with my body. So, what is our relationship with our body anyway? Well, relationship is a state of connection. And, when we think of relationships between people, we think, okay, one person's connected to another person way. So when we talk about our relationship with our body, we can look at it as how connected we feel within our body, and also in listening to its messages.
Mm-hmm. So how connected we feel and listening to its messages. In what way would we actually begin to listen to our body? Is there specific messages that you're aware of that our body sends us? What are some of those different things?
Yeah, well, the body communicates in the language of vibration, and listening means listening for sound or listening for vibration. And so the cool thing is the body is very straightforward. Sometimes we get into relationships with people and we're not really sure how straightforward they're going to be, or we get in a conversation, what's really happening here. What I've discovered is the body is so straightforward and so simple in its messages. And it's always communicating. It's always wanting you to get what it's saying. So when we can learn to pause, to stop and listen. There's that song we learned when we were kids, stop and look and listen. Okay, well, I learned that when I was a kid. So I use that as a reminder. Stop, just pause, listen, what's my body saying? And there's definitely techniques that we can go into with how we could do that better.
So really it's listening for those messages, and the only time that we're going to really get those is when we probably slow down, stop, listen. My messages that I usually get from my body, because I had the tendency for so long before I started working with you, I just ignored my body. And it was almost like a liability. I felt like, okay, I've got to just keep my energy level up so I can keep working, keep moving, keep going, and then eventually I would get sick. And usually it would be like this huge 10-day ordeal where I'm sick and feeling like garbage because I ran my body into the ground. Do you find that a lot of people that you work with that come to you maybe are in that state of even needing to learn how to connect to their bodies?
Oh, yeah. One of the interesting things that happened to me in my career is there was a time I wanted to do a new seminar about listening to your body and developing a better relationship with the body. And when I started the workshop, I asked people, okay, tell me about your relationship with your body. How do you, think of it? What's your concept? What are the metaphors you use? And Mara, I was floored with how awful and disconnected and just bad people felt about their bodies and about their relationship with their body. I mean, it was shocking. And yes, when I'm working with people, it's more common in our culture that we're, so ambitious, and we've got to drive, and we've got to be our best. And wow, listening to our bodies isn't something that most of us learn early on in life. We're more likely to learn to disconnect, to ignore, to not pay attention. So paying attention is the new thing. It's now, how do I do that, and what will I mean, or what will I learn? And I find people will either have a hard time just first knowing they need to listen, second, actually listening. Sometimes they listen and they hear the message and they're still doing bad stuff anyway. That's another topic of concern. But if we can listen, get those messages, and then change our behavior or change the way that we're going through life in order to be more whole, more integrous, more congruent, there's going to be so many rewards that we have.
So what are some of the ways that our body actually does communicate with us? Like, we're talking about messages and listening for those messages. So what are some of those things that maybe along the way we've decided to ignore, and then things get bad? Like what I was explaining with how I usually get sick, and it's debilitating because my body's finally just like, Mara, you need to rest.
Yeah.
So what are some of those different ways that our body tries to communicate with us, and whether or not we end up listening?
Okay. Well, one really common language is the language of pain, those types of sensations. That's a way that a lot of times when we feel pain, we say, oh no, that's not good. I don't want to hear that message anymore. How can I ignore that or disconnect from it? Is there a pill? Is there a potion? Is there a way that I can ignore that message? And really, when we do that, I think we discover, what happens. Ultimately, our body starts getting louder in its communication. Sometimes people will come in with a pain, maybe it's in the top part of their arm, and then they, take medication, or they, do things to try to make it go away, and then it's now pain going down to the whole entire arm, down to the finger, and it's all the time, and so our messages generally will get louder. Hopefully that happens because there's a really important reason why we have pain, and that is so that we stop doing what we're doing and do something different. And there's something about the way that we're living our life and treating our bodies. It could be our perspectives, our perceptions we're having, our behaviors, the actions we're taking and not taking, the structure of our body, or the structures that we set up in life. Something's not working as well as it could, and the body's letting us know. And so if we can, instead of trying to make it go away, say, hey, what is this telling me? What more? Is there something new that I can become aware of? Is there something I need to acknowledge and just state, this is what my experience is? Or do I need to come more fully into acceptance and be able to move on? So those are some of the keys that we use. It's called AAA, Awareness, Acknowledgement, Acceptance. And that's one of the main ways that we can be in relationship with our body in a healthy way.
In other words, so the awareness, what were those A's again? See, I'm already forgetting. Awareness, acceptance, acknowledgement. There we go.
Yeah. Awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance. Yeah.
So a lot of times let's say that you start getting a pain in your knee. Like, the tendency, because I have had that, the tendency is to just want to take Advil just to make it go away. And every time we do that, we're numbing our communication with our body. So what normal communication that it's trying to send that message, we're basically cutting that off. Is that the right way to look at that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So instead, if we can say, okay, let's AAA this knee of ours. let's become more aware, first of all. What's really going on? What's happening? Oftentimes, awareness is transformational just in and of itself, looking at it in a new way. What's really going on? And we can get all this interesting feedback. Where does it hurt exactly? How does it hurt? What's the sensation? When? What's the timing of it? We can become aware of all these things. And then acknowledgement is another big piece. Because when we try to ignore something and push it down, it's something that's just unacknowledged. And we all know how it feels when there's something big going on that we aren't acknowledging in life, relationship, how bad that feels. So acknowledgement through the body is often so simple, and it might just be, I hurt. Wow, what's going on here? I'm hurting right now. Right now, I feel sad, or I feel angry, upset. I feel lost. I feel alone. Something. I feel, whatever. It's going to be a very simple I feel statement in most cases. And then just in and of itself, just acknowledging that can be liberating. And then if we got that, the next piece is moving to acceptance. So that's acceptance is something a lot of people get confused about and think of it sometimes as a resignation or just kind of giving up. But it's really a surrender, and it's just this is what has been up until now. Now, there's a really cool paradox that happens the moment we accept, and that is we can now make a change. So what we've been resisting. Once we finally feel it, fully acknowledge it, acceptance, and accept it, then now something new can come in.
The acknowledgement is what's really resonating for me right now, because I feel like for so many, at least for myself, and a lot of people that I've talked to, we're so used to having to be okay, or trying to be okay, or needing to act like we're okay. You're not supposed to ask for help. And so when you get into these emotional states where life sometimes just stinks, right? Like there's so much going on, and it's like, really? And usually we're told just run away or fake it till you make it. And so we end up probably creating more physical pain in our bodies because our body's trying to send us a message that something needs to change.
Absolutely.
So I think that acknowledgement is obviously awareness is a huge piece, but getting to that place where it's okay to say it hurts, or I hurt, or whatever, and being able to move past that into accepting that's just the way it is right now.
Yeah, and on that note, on acknowledgement, my son Joseph taught me a really big lesson with this recently, and he was having a tough time emotionally. And I always think of myself as being, this mom who gives the space to have all kinds of emotional expression, and that he'd feel safe. And it was really interesting because he was obviously upset. He didn't want to say what it was, and so I asked him more, well, why don't you want to share? And I was fascinated because his answer was very vulnerable, and that's why we're going to talk about a little bit of vulnerability. It's hard to even say that word sometimes. But he said to me, Mom, I'm afraid to tell you. I'm afraid that you'll punish me. Or he said, I'm afraid I'll be punished. And he wasn't talking about discipline or anything. He was talking about emotionally, I think, losing love or losing my acceptance of him, or maybe I'd have a judgment on him. But he didn't want to be vulnerable and just say what was happening because he didn't want to be punished in some way. And that was a profound thing for me to hear from him. And I ended up just asking him, and we can do this with our own bodies as well, but I asked him, hey, wow, I'm like really affected by you sharing that, and I really want to be able to listen more and have you be able to feel good about sharing what you're experiencing. will you help me practice? Could you give me a shot so that I could practice? And he said, yeah. And he shared with me whatever was bothering him. But in that way, you know, vulnerability is tough for a lot of people. We learn a lot of stories about how we're not supposed to be vulnerable or share sad feelings or negative feelings. That just perpetuates more. Mm-hmm. But if we can just, you know, learn, and we can start small and be so simple, I'm hurting, I'm sad, it is very powerful, and we can, through that vulnerability, be courageous and strong and authentic and honest, and have those associations with vulnerability. They're really powerful and empowering.
And as we begin to start that practice, I think for me especially, it was, I keep wanting to say for us or people in general, and I try not to generalize, but I think that there are a lot of people out there that share the similar experience that I've had and that I've been sharing and working with you around, which is, how do I connect with my body when I'm so used to, you know, the first 30 years of my life basically just ignoring everything that it was trying to tell me? And so is there a daily practice or something that we can do to begin to create that communication that may have never been formed, or that's been maybe existed when we were young and now we've lost that connection or given that connection up?
Yeah, absolutely. I share and teach a technique called somatorespiratory integration. It's very simple, and it allows us to listen and connect with our bodies, and we can do that on a daily basis or several times a day, and be able to start to pick up on how our body's actually feeling and what we're experiencing. And, you know, one of the most simple things that we could do to begin that would be to explore our bodies, be able to touch and find where in our bodies we feel peace and where we feel energy, and then be able to be with some of those places that are uncomfortable, are hurting, have had symptoms that are very uncomfortable, and places our body is talking to us that we feel like we can't really get those messages. So we can start alternating between focusing on places of peace and focusing on places of discomfort, and acknowledging what our experience is, and then having that commitment and that discipline. And to do that is a big key. Our bodies love commitment. Our bodies love it when we commit to them. And they love the discipline of continuing to take care of the body and to listen.
Would you mind walking us through briefly how that would look as far as finding that place of peace? Or, I mean, I think we probably know where the place of pain is.
Right, yeah, that's usually an easy one.
It's a place we've been ignoring for a very long time, but how in the world do you start to find the place of peace and acknowledge that and be able to take that peace to the painful place?
All right, yeah, great. So let me scoot back a little, see if you can see my body a little bit more. Well,
we'll just use it as an example on your, like, your shoulder or something, maybe.
Okay, well, okay, so...
Or you can stand up and we'll just look at your belly. Yeah. There you go.
I could stand up. Okay. I could describe this. Don't worry. I got this one. All right. So there are a few areas that are real easy to start discovering and discerning peace. And we could just think relative peace for now. Now, there could be places other than these that we feel peace and energy, but for our purposes, we'll just check out 3 main areas. So I'll walk you through a little bit of an exercise here now. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, great. So you're going to bring your hands onto your chest, right below the clavicle bones up here, but above your heart, and just take a breath in your nose, out your mouth. And it can just be a quiet, normal breath, but just notice as you're focusing in, does it feel effortless to breathe in here? Is it difficult? Is it energizing? Is it uncomfortable? Just observe. Notice what you notice. And then we're going to bring the hands right below the rib cage. So just bring your hands on your belly below your ribs and breathing your breath in your nose, out your mouth. Notice this. Is it less effortless? Does it feel okay to hang out here? Or difficult? Just observe. One more breath. And then go ahead and go over your belly button. So this is the third position we're going to check out. Again, bringing your breath in your nose, out your mouth, just really gentle breath, normal breath. And notice if it's more effortless here, if it feels better, if it feels more difficult. And we'll do one more. Okay, so whatever your first impression was, go back through just one breath in each of those three areas and just see which is more peaceful. Of all those three areas, which is more peaceful, more energizing? What feels best? Where do you feel best when you're hanging out there? Okay, do you have a spot? How about you, Mara?
Yep,
you have a spot. Good. Hopefully everyone has an area. So let's say it's up here because you can see that area. And on me it is this spot, so it works out perfect today. So what we can do now that we have a place of peace, we have a place where we can come back to, we can take a breath in the nose, out the mouth, and then you can bring your hands to any place where you feel discomfort or pain or tension. You know, if it's on your head, if you have a headache, if you have an old shoulder injury, if there's something there. And then go ahead and just take a few breaths in your nose, out your mouth, and focus on that area. And we're going to observe in a new way. Look for something new that you may not have ever noticed before. And see if you can discover what's happening there. Sometimes it's so powerful to make the sound of the area, like, you know, oh, if our head hurts, or, you know, if there's a part of our body that we can actually listen to by making the sound of it. Super powerful. And then come back to where it's peaceful, wherever your peaceful spot is. Now we can alternate here for a little bit, going between those areas, and just observe how that area changes. You know, there's a lot of different things that can happen. Is there anything you're noticing right now, Mara, as you're focusing in?
For me, I have these places of chronic pain, and like my knee, for example, and so being able to take that peaceful space and move it into the knee is a feeling of relief, and it's sort of like, it makes me realize that it's not just about the knee. It's a lot of other stuff that my body for some reason has decided to store there, and it's really interesting to acknowledge that. And a lot of times there is like a crazy weird sound that's in there, and I think that, I mean, we were talking at the very beginning about the language that our bodies communicate in, and you said it's vibration.
Yes.
And so by making those different tones and sounds, it actually is our body communicating with us, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating, and it's the language of emotion. It's the language of vibration when we use sound, and it's usually the quickest, simplest way to acknowledge the experience of the body. And once it acknowledges it, what we notice is that it changes. And I know you've had experiences where you had really intense pain, and then poof, there was no pain.
Right.
And that's really the most common experience, because you're able to be with what's happening in your body. Now, sometimes those experiences come through again. There's new layers. There's things that we still need to change in our environment or within our relationship with ourselves. And so our body lets us know. We can always count on our body to let us know.
Right.
It doesn't keep quiet. And that's a good thing.
Love it. Yeah. Even though it does hurt sometimes, we just have to realize it's for our best good.
It is. It's for the highest good, and that's, you know, some things I think, you know, as far as like takeaways of, and, you know, really connecting and being connected through your body is an embodied experience. It's not a concept, but we can have really good concepts that lead us towards having a better embodied experience. And, you know, one of them is, okay, not only listen, find meaning, trust in the guidance of our body. Our body's always working towards health, healing, our full potential, our highest good, even if there's symptoms or disease or pain or challenge. so we always have that guidance that's there, and get help. You know, one of the things too in our world, we think, oh, I got to power through it. I got to do it all by myself. Get help. My goodness. You know, I am so grateful that there are many people who can help me to listen more and to pay attention to my body and to, you know, take care of myself. So, you know, don't be afraid or don't hesitate to get help if you know there's something that needs to be resolved or needs to change. And that way you can really work to optimize what your experience is through your body. You know, the big picture is that your body is the vehicle you go through life in. It's your temporary home. It's the, you know, the only one you get in this lifetime, although those cells continually recreate themselves in every moment. I mean, almost every cell of our body will rejuvenate itself within 10 years, and some within just a few days. So our body's continually recreating ourselves, and we can continue to recreate our relationship with our body at any time.
So we don't have to be stuck in the way it used to be, or even the way it is right now.
That's right. Our body's only the way it is right now because of our health practices up to this point in time and the relationship we've had up to this point in time. We can start today, and I do this several times a day because really the power of committing. I had a really good friend who was talking about relationship with me, intimate relationship, and we were talking about commitment, and she said, you know, really the secret of commitment is recommitment, and recommitting over and over and over again. So, you know, today, right now, you can commit and say, you know, I'm going to listen more to my body. I'm going to take better care of you. I'm going to have an intent to listen more to your wisdom and your guidance, because your relationship with your body is your primary relationship. You are the only one on the planet that can have the relationship that you have with your body.
Yeah.
And when you do that, your body will serve you well.
Awesome. I love it. So one of the things that that you helped me work through at the beginning was dealing a little bit more with that initial ability to even connect with my body. This idea of, okay, sure, I've lived inside this thing of cells for 30 years, but I've never connected, never listened, never understood what it was communicating with me. And once you move past that and you've built those communication channels, which is what you've worked with me on for the last 10 months or so, is then how do you move into more of a state of optimization? And that is, okay, how do I make it even better and even better and even better and keep pushing ourselves to create that connection at a soul level where we really feel like we're pursuing our purpose. And I know this is a huge topic that we could talk on for hours, but I think there is definitely a piece of optimization that we get to create when we have a great relationship with our body. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, that could be a whole topic in and of itself, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell you how I look at it. You know, I look at it as committing to be on the cutting edge of my potential, of listening to my heart and allowing the connection between my heart, my higher self, my mind, my consciousness to be expressed through the cells of my body at a higher and higher level. One of the things that I teach is being familiar with the different energies that create our experience and our consciousness and our bodies, and how our bodies express the different consciousness of emotion, mind, soul, energy. And once we have kind of the basic language, it's kind of like learning piano. You know, you could learn scales, you can learn songs, then you can, you know, become a master musician. And that requires a commitment to really being more and more aware of how to be your best self and to your energy. So, you know, one of the ways is to become aware, okay, when and how am I expressing soul energy? If what you're asking is, you know, like, how do I really express my soul fully through my being? Well, I got to know what soul energy feels like. I need to know the tone of it, right? I need to know the sense of spaciousness that's happening when that energy is being expressed. And as opposed to maybe the mind energy, which might be more focused, and if it's working at its best, of the feeling very courageous and decisive. So that might be more of the mind energy, and really getting to know the different energies. Is it emotional energy? And then how can we really work with that consciously? So once we have the language, the repertoire down, we can say, okay, this is where I am now. Now, where do I really want to be? And what do I really want to create? And life gets so juicy, and I know you and I have worked like that, especially more recently. How can we make this life even more juicy and get all the aliveness out of it and make the biggest difference, the biggest impact that we can while we're here on this planet? All of our lives are very short, right? They're temporary anyway. I don't know if you think of it as short or long, but we're only here for a certain amount of time, and how do we make the best of it and have the most aliveness? We're meant to be like a candle burning brightly, and a candle burns brightly to the very end. And so we can think of it that way, that I want to burn brightly throughout my entire life. Have you seen there's a really cute video going around, I think it's from America's Got Talent, on a really older lady in her 80s, or I think she's almost 80, doing a salsa dance?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh boy, you got it. Everyone's got to Google that if you haven't seen it. It's awesome. So I looked at that as an inspiration. I look around for inspiration a lot, and wow, to have someone just up there on stage being tossed around. She's 80. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So how can we work towards that, right? That to me is optimization.
That is optimization, and a full expression of what we love to do. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going back to dance class right now, so
Perfect.
I might not be 80, but I'm remembering how to tango.
Perfect. That's so fun.
It is. I'm having a blast. So we'll see. So
Awesome.
I want to know a little bit, before we wrap up, more about you. Like, what brought you to this space of wanting to understand your body, your relationship with your body, and then facilitating the amazing work that you do to empower and help other people to be able to do that same thing? I mean, that is definitely a calling. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got to this place?
Sure. I have always had a fascination and awe with the body and with how people express themselves through their bodies. I remember being a very young child and looking at all the people around me, the adults, people at church, and looking at them and wondering, wow, why is it that they want to be like that or look like that? And what is it that makes them tick? I've had a lot of curiosity. So I would say I had a lot of general curiosity from the get-go. Now, I never thought I would do anything in healthcare ever, because I had a really bad experience growing up in the medical community. Like, that was what was normal for me as I grew up. I didn't know of anything holistic. And so I just grouped health into medicine and thought that was all there was, and had really not good experiences. So I think that also was a factor that really, when I was introduced to chiropractic, I had a ovarian cyst happening in my body at the time that I was going to have surgery on. And I was very concerned about it. I ended up getting into a car accident and going to a chiropractor. And I had great results with the chiropractic adjustment. And then I had gone in for the surgery and had like this final ultrasound to see what they actually needed to do. And my body was fully healed and didn't have that anymore. And I went back to the chiropractor and told him about this, and he was just like, yeah, of course. This is why, and he shows me all the nerves, like, how the body works, and I'm like, what? This is just a, everyday occurrence for you? Like, it was no big deal. And it was a huge deal to me. I don't think that he, I felt like at the time, you don't get how meaningful this is to me. And that really flipped me when I was able to really experience that healing and knowing, wow, the body has the power to heal.
Mm-hmm.
We're a lot of times also we're taught that the body doesn't heal itself. Of course it does, but we're taught, well, you need medicine, you need this or that, and really, we're made as a miracle that is continually self-healing, and so that was a huge influence for me, was having that experience, and just eventually I ended up going to college and being like, whoa, I really want to do this work, and the network spinal analysis work, which is very different than most chiropractic. Mm-hmm. I saw it, and when people see the work I do, it doesn't look usual. It's not your average everyday.
No, it's not.
Type of work, right? No, the body, as it unwinds tension, moves in certain ways. People might make sound. It's really phenomenal, but it's very extraordinary and different. And my first impression with seeing that was like, what is that? Like, I was shocked, really. Like, I'm like, whoa, you could make sound, but I was like, what is that? Like, I saw life is happening there. I was in, I think, from the get-go, even though I was initially a little shocked, or a little what is that? And I remember getting my first session, and so I'm laying on the table. With the work that we do, you lay on the table, and then there's little touches that happen along the spine that are very specific, so that it cues the brain and nervous system to get in alignment and to make changes in how the body's holding energy. And I had my first session, and I felt my breath move through my body, like all the way up my spine and through my chest. And it was like the first time in my life that I could ever remember feeling that. And I was, that was it. I was in. I'm like, oh my gosh, to be able to feel and know my breath, that's a very, very powerful thing. We know that through a lot of yoga practices, really focused on the breath. And there's a respiratory wave, a breath wave that happens with the work that I do, and it's very profound. And I just remember, I sat up. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. This is it. I'm in. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's super powerful, and every day I see miracles. It's so cool to do the work I do, and to get to share in those miracles with people. That, to me, it's an everyday thing, but I don't ever forget the awe and the wonder and the magic of it, and how special it is for people, because I know how that has been for me as well, to be able to know my own healing, and it's awesome. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, it's such a great story.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So when someone comes to work with you, you were explaining a little bit about how the treatments work, but what can they expect as far as, let's say that someone's watching the show and they decide, this sounds interesting, I really don't know what she's talking about, but I tried this thing, I found a place of peace, all of a sudden my head felt better, now what?
Great question.
What comes next? How can people connect with you, and what can they expect when they start working with you?
All right. So people can connect with me through my website. It's www.wellbeingforlife.info. I have a healing center called Wellbeing for Life in Carlsbad, California. It's in the San Diego area. So if you live in my area, we can do a consultation. If you just say you saw me on the Mara Show, you can have a complimentary consultation, and we'll see if it's a good fit for you to work with me. And if you live somewhere else, you could also contact me, and I could see if I could hook you up with a practitioner who does the similar work that I do. What you can expect? Wow, that's a great question. And a lot of the delight is in discovering that together of what you personally will discover. But at first, it's an increase in your body awareness. So, more of a sense of what's actually happening in your body, and much more ease. the ability to relax. So a common thing for most people, we're pretty wound up. Our nervous systems are a little high strung, and tension is held and pain. There's all this distortion. As that opens up and releases, or changes as the body becomes more aware, we can sleep better. We can feel more relaxed. We can have less stress. We can start adapting to stress better. Physically in the body, we can feel a whole lot better, have more energy. People have, interesting experiences of awareness of their sensation in their body and feeling the energy flowing in their body, which can be really awesome. Some people feel that. Some people it's more of breath. So that's usually what happens at first. Mm-hmm. And then if we work more on a longer term, like you've chosen, Mara, it's more of a deep transformational process of really changing your relationship with your body. And then what happens is we start to change our relationship with other aspects of life. Because as you become more congruently who you really are without all that distortion and stress in your body, you make different changes and different decisions about how you're going to live your life. And then we get to support that and support the new sense of energy and your consciousness as well. So it gets better and better.
Yes, it does.
It does.
It's definitely something that I'm hooked on.
Yeah. And, the research shows, this is really cool. There's a lot of research, a big body of research on the work that we do and the quality of life benefits and also the unique waves that happen, the breath waves. There's movement wave that happens called a somatopsychic wave. And the research on the quality of life studies show that there's no ceiling to the amount of well-being we can experience through the work. So it really can just keep getting better and better and better. So I love it.
I love it too.
Yes.
On the Mara Show, we always have our guests give something away. So for those of you that are just joining us, either watching this archived or joining us live, again, I'm Mara Hoover, and I'm the host of the Mara Show. We bring experts in the area of personal development, business, and relationships. Today I have Dr. Ann Jenkins Austin with me, and very excited to share the work that she has done with me personally. And she's got a really cool offer for everybody, as she mentioned earlier, but I'm just going to repeat it. If you head to themarashow.com and in our archive area, find the video interview, right underneath there's going to be a button that will link you directly to her website. And for those of you that are in the San Diego area, which I know there are quite a few of you, she's offering a free complimentary consultation, and I'll have her explain a little bit more about what happens at that consultation. But basically, you're going to get to sit down with her and discuss more about the work and how it could be applied in your life and find out if it would be a fit. And I know that has huge value, so I'll have her address that as well. And for those of you that are watching nationally or internationally, if you're interested in finding out more about the work that Dr. Ann does and seeing if we can connect you with a practitioner in your area, you can click that link, contact her, you'll get connected. So, Dr. Ann, can you tell us a little bit about that consultation just so people know what to expect as they're getting connected with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we get to know each other at a first meeting or consultation, the idea is that you can share with me everything that you think is important about your well-being goals, what you'd like to experience. Sometimes there's pain or tension that's happening. Sometimes it's just we know, what, I'm not taking care of myself. I need to do something. And sometimes there's a lot of stress. So I find out and discover what's happening with you and answer any questions that you have about the work. I'll give you a little bit of a sense of the work through a demonstration, and we do an evaluation. So I look at posture, because posture is a great way to know what's happening with your nervous system. It's a reflection of how your body's holding the tension patterns, and a couple of tests with a computer system that show me what's happening with your nervous system, an EMG and a thermographic scan. So we just get some information overall, what's happening in your body, and then you get to decide if it feels like it's a good fit for you. And if it is, then we decide how we're going to work together. We could work together short term, or we could work together a little bit longer term, and it's always up to you based on your wellness goals what's going to be the best fit.
Awesome. Yeah, and those scans that you do are pretty cool. All I can say is if you can get rid of the black spikes, it's magic.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love, to be able to do those scans and the pictures because the most important thing when we measure progress is that you feel better and are more aware, and what your experience is like my number one priority. However, it's great to see that your health of your spine, your nervous system, your body improving, and real measurements for that. And so the progress reports are great because we can actually see, okay, am I really making progress, and what's happening with my posture? I think people, when they see how much their posture changes, it's so cool and inspiring, because posture, it makes you not only feel, when it improves, not only feel younger, but look younger. So one of a really cool benefit is that people will see, wow, I look, younger, 5 years, 10 years younger in just a short time. So that's an awesome thing.
I love it.
Yay.
All right. Well, as we wrap up this episode, is there any last thoughts, comments, tips, a quote that you love, or something that you would like to share before we wrap up?
Wow. Way to put me on the spot with a close. Be you.
I love it. I love it.
Be you. Be you. I have one little tip, one closing tip, which is one of the most important things, is learn and know for yourself where to find peace and where to find energy around you, within you. What are the things that really bring you joy and energize you? And keep your attention there and commit to experiencing those things on a daily basis.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Well, thank you, Dr. Ann, for being here with us today. It's been such an honor to have you on the Mara Show, be able to share the amazing work that you've done for me personally with my community. I know that we get so many views on these videos through the archives, and I hope that it is a life-changing interview for people. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up, and we love you, and I will
see you soon.
I'll see you tomorrow for my session.
All right, I look forward to it. Thank you so much, Mara.
Of course. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.